All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the We Book It podcast. I am your host, Virgil. Thank you so much. This is your Tuesday night delight on a Wednesday, and I am recapping NXT. This is Who's Next with NXT, and I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe so that you never miss anything we got going on over on the We Book It Network. Now, tonight, guys, we're going to be talking about Ren Sinclair versus Nikita Lyons, Shiloh Hill, Hank and Tank versus Vanity Project, Jacy Jayne versus Zaria for the NXT Women's Championship, and we got a bunch of segments that's hyping up NXT Vengeance Day this coming Saturday. You don't want to miss it. Going to be a great show. First and foremost, guys, we had we have Miles Bourne versus Ethan Page. So after a recap of what happened last week, Miles Bourne came to the ring to celebrate winning the North American Championship from Ethan Page. The crowd, obviously, they were going to be behind young Randy Orton, aka Miles Bourne, and told him, "You deserve it. You deserve it." As he started to talk about how good it feels to finally have the title on his shoulders. He thanked the haters like Ethan Page for doubting him because they pushed him to be better. He said he is willing to do whatever it takes to keep the belt, which brought out none other than All Ego. Page said he wanted a rematch and Bourne was up for it. Robert Stone came out and made it official. A ref then showed up, the bell rang, and they started fighting in their suits. Page ended up losing his pants when they tore in several places, but thankfully he was wearing boxer briefs. Bourne ended up using his shoe to hit Page when the ref wasn't looking, which opened the door for his finisher to get a quick win. Very, very odd that they chose this route to have these two fight for the NXT championship, but nonetheless, like I said, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And Ethan Page wanted his belt back, y'all. Let's make no mistake about it. So with that being said, it wasn't as good as their showdown last week, but it was an entertaining way to get the show going, especially with Bourne once again defeating Page. It must be weird to wrestle in nice shoes that have very little grip. Page hit a really nice scoop set power slam during the break, but like I said, all of a sudden, Bourne took the win. Miles Bourne took the win, and he is still your NXT North American champion. Next up, Blake Monroe was out after the break for a promo before Jada Parker joined her for a scheduled face-to-face. Monroe said Parker needs her because it brings more spotlight to her. As expected, the crowd gave Miss Parker. They gave Jada Parker, man, that girl's so fine. They gave her a standing ovation and a warm welcome as she came out. She said Monroe thinks wrestling revolves around her, but in reality, she is just insecure. Parker ended up pushing Monroe until she snapped and attacked her. But Miss Parker sent her out of the ring with relative ease. Again, this segment was just to hype up their match that is going to happen. It's going to see how Monroe does as a babyface. Eventually, she's comfortable as a heel, but it might be hard to get the crowd on her side. However, again, it is what it is. Ricky Saints had a backstage segment with Page and Vanity Project. I love that group. Those four gentlemen together. It's going to get real interesting here in a minute because I suspect that Ethan Page is no longer in the NXT title chase because he wants to be NXT champion. And you also got Ricky Saints who wants to be NXT champion also. So it's going to be very interesting. And I think we're going to start building towards something like that. Next up, we got Ren Sinclair versus Nikita Lyons. Nikita Lyons, by the way, y'all posted a fabulous video today of her doing splits on Instagram, on her socials. And listen, like I said, she might not be shit in the wrestling ring, but that woman is beautiful outside of the wrestling ring. So the next bout was a speed tournament match between Nikita Lyons and Ren Sinclair. As usual, Kendall Gray was in her Ren QCC partner's corner. They got right into the action and traded some strikes. Lyons gained the upper hand for a few moments, but Sinclair stayed on her and used her speed to keep her on her toes. The biggest issue with these speed matches is that the superstars are in a rush and some of the moves end up looking bad or worse, not even connecting at all. Both women brought a lot of energy to the ring, but the match itself was nothing to write home about. Sinclair defeated Lyons in this match and will move on in the women's speed championship tournament. I kind of feel bad for Nikita Lyons. She came to NXT with a lot of pomp and circumstance, and then they moved her down to Evolve. Like I said, she's made the most out of whatever they've given her. But again, like I said, and she's even been like I think she's been on SmackDown a couple of times and things like that. But she just it hasn't clicked yet for her. So they're still trying to figure out what to do with her. I mean, she has her whole gimmick together of what she is and who she is. I just don't know that the fans are buying it or if Shawn Michaels and Albert aren't buying it in the back. I'm sorry, Matt Bloom. I shouldn't call him Albert. Albert was his wrestling name. Anyways, Jasper Troy had a backstage segment where he challenged Elio LaFleur to a rematch for the speed title that he lost last week. Rince Sinclair supplied cattle mutilation pretty seamlessly um to Nikita. After the break, Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame had one final segment before Saturday's Vengeance Day showdown. This was a heavily produced backstage segment. It had mood music, several camera cuts, and a dollhouse set up for Paxley. Both of them did fine with the materials they were given. The segment really felt kind of unnecessary. It was no new ground to tread. It was basically just these two going over their history, speaking on their past, and then what they were going to do to each other at Vengeance Day this coming Saturday. After that, Joe Hendry had a backstage segment with Bourne and congratulated him on winning the North American title. Then Shayna Baszler, my girl, appeared in a segment with Kaylani Jordan as her trainer. That's right. Kaylani is getting ready for her NXT dark match where she is going to be has going to have to go to the edge there. And we're very interested to see what she ends up doing. Next up, Shiloh Hill, Hank and Tank versus Vanity Project. So Brad Baylor, Ricky Smokes, and Jackson Drake attacked Hank and Tank and Shiloh Hill during their entrance to get an early advantage in the six-man tag match. Babyfaces gained control after a break, but not for long. Vanity Project did a good job isolating opponents in their corner. During the match, Keanu Carver showed up and threatened the announcers for some reason. We don't know what the fuck that's about. But Hill meshed well with Hank and Tank, but it felt like two big men in this match sold a little too much for their smaller opponents. The match it should still be competitive, but Hank and Tank should work more like powerhouses, especially against guys this small. However, they got a long time to work, so this match had a lot of action across multiple commercial break segments. The match ended up feeling like it was absolutely a point for Hill to stand out. He ended up scoring the win for his team by pinning Drake. After the match, Monroe appeared on the announce table wearing different clothes. She challenged Jada Parker to a street fight at Vengeance Day before Jada came out and they started brawling. I like the fact that, they went from one match to opening up this segment. I like the fact that they used the announce table and that they set up their match for Vengeance Day. So we're excited. It's going to be Miss Parker versus Blake Monroe in a street fight. Blake better watch out though, because she might hit her with a brick, and I don't really know if that's a good thing or not. We'll see what happens with that. Next up, we have the NXT Women's Championship match: Jacy Jayne versus Zaria. So Osiris Griffin was found backstage, having been attacked by Tony D'Angelo. This led to Dion Lennox going to the ring to call him out for a fight. Tony D addressed him from the stands and said Dark State tried to end his career, but all they did was make him more dangerous. Lennox said he would be waiting for Tony in the parking lot on Saturday. Parking lot brawl, haven't seen that in a long time, but you also know that NXT parking lot is nothing to write. I mean, it's nothing to play with. It's very dangerous out there in the NXT parking lot. After the break, we get the women's title match between Jacy Jayne and Zaria. Zaria didn't have anyone in her corner, so Fallon Henley and Laney Reed gave the champion an advantage. Jane tried to get the upper hand early, but the powerhouse cornered her and beat her down until the ref forced her to back up. The champ used her friends and some dirty tactics to keep herself in the fight, but Zaria kept finding ways to regain control. It literally looked like at some point Zaria was going to actually pull it out here and win the match until guess who? Soul Ruca showed up and hit the Soul Snatcher to both women at once to cause the ref to call off the match. Do you smell it? Do you smell it? You know what that is? That's a triple threat NXT Women's Tag Team match. NXT Women's Championship match coming here soon. At the end of the night, So Ruca literally, which is the thumbnail for this video, So Ruca telling Zaria that she just snatched her soul, bitch. And that ends NXT for this week. I need to know from you guys, what was your favorite match? What was your thoughts? And what are you looking forward to most for NXT Vengeance Day this coming Saturday? I need to know from you guys. Be sure to check it out. It's the final PLE for WWE on Peacock. There has still not been an announcement as to where NXT PLEs will be viewed from here. I can almost bet you it's probably end up being Netflix if I had to take my guess. I doubt it'll be ESPN. I think it'll be Netflix, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. But until then, y'all, make sure that you guys keep those book and pencils sharp and keep on